Chapter 1. Stop reacting, start controlling. Most people don't live their lives. They react to them. Something happens. They get angry. They get scared. They get emotional. And just like that, they lose control. This is the invisible prison almost everyone lives inside. Reaction. Your boss says something. You snap back. A stranger disrespects you. You explode. A problem appears. You panic. And in every one of those moments, you think you're in charge. But you're not. Your emotions are driving. And when emotions drive, logic disappears. That's the truth. Reaction is slavery. Control is freedom. Say it again. Reaction is slavery. Control is freedom. The moment you react without thinking, you surrender power. You hand control to the situation, to the person, to the emotion. You have a choice. That's the key. You always have a choice. Between reacting and responding. Between chaos and control. But nobody teaches you this. Society teaches you to express everything. To let it out. To follow your feelings. And that's why most people stay weak. Because feelings are temporary. Feelings are unstable. Feelings change every minute. Strong people don't follow feelings. Strong people control them. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Look around you. Who gets promoted? The calm one. Who wins arguments? The calm one. Who commands respect? The calm one. Not the loudest. Not the angriest. Not the most emotional. The calmest. Because calm is control. And control is power. When someone insults you and you explode, who won? They did. They pushed a button and you jumped. Whoever reacts loses. Always. Let that sink in. Whoever reacts loses. If someone can trigger you, they can control you. That's the game being played every day. On social media. In relationships. At work. In traffic. In life. People poke. They provoke. They test. And most people fail the test instantly. They react. Anger. Defensiveness. Emotion. And just like that, the other person has power. But you don't have to play that game. You have a choice. That's the key. The pause. Right between stimulus and response. Something happens. And instead of exploding, you pause. You breathe. You choose. Pause. Breathe. Choose. That simple moment is where control lives. That pause is where untouchable people are created. Let me give you a real example. Two co-workers get criticized by their boss. The first one reacts emotionally, raises his voice, gets defensive, blames others. What happens? The boss sees weakness, loss of control, immaturity, trust drops, respect drops, opportunities disappear. The second co-worker stays calm, listens, nods, asks questions, improves. What happens? The boss sees strength, stability, leadership. Opportunities appear. Same situation, different reaction, different life. You have a choice. That's the key. Life will always throw problems at you. Always. Stress will come. People will test you. Pressure will rise. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond. And that changes everything. Most suffering isn't from what happens. It's from how you react to what happens. Think about that. A traffic jam isn't painful. Your anger about it is. A comment online isn't painful. Your emotional reaction is. A mistake isn't painful. Your panic is. The event is neutral. Your reaction creates the suffering, which means you've been hurting yourself this whole time. Not life. Not people. Your reactions. And that's actually good news. Because if reactions create suffering, then control creates peace. Control creates strength. Control creates success. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need anyone's approval to be in control. You have a choice. That's the key. So how do you start? Not by becoming emotionless. Not by suppressing feelings. You start by observing. The moment something triggers you, notice it. Notice the heat in your chest, the tension in your jaw, the urge to speak. And instead of acting, pause. Breathe slowly, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Longer exhale than inhale. This signals calm to your nervous system. Then ask yourself one question. Is reacting helping me right now? Most of the time, the answer is no. That's the moment you choose control. It's not easy. At first, your emotions will scream. They'll beg you to react. They'll demand attention. But every time you don't react, you get stronger. Every time you pause, your discipline grows. Shorter storms, stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms, stronger control. This is training, just like building muscles. You don't get strong in one workout. You get strong with consistent discipline. Same here. Each moment of restraint is a rep. Each pause is growth. Each calm response is power built. Over time, what used to trigger you for hours will last minutes. What lasted minutes will last seconds. Until eventually, nothing shakes you. That's when you become untouchable. And people will notice. They'll wonder how you stay so calm. How nothing gets to you. How you're always in control. But they won't see the representatives. They won't see the pauses. They won't see the discipline. They'll just see strength. Remember this. Emotion is natural. Reaction is optional. Say it again. Emotion is natural. Reaction is optional. You don't control feelings that appear, but you control what you do with them. That's the difference between weak and strong, between chaos and mastery, between being controlled and being in control. From today forward, make this your rule. Never react instantly. Always pause. Always breathe. Always choose. You have a choice. That's the key. Because the calm person always wins. The calm person thinks clearly. The calm person sees opportunities. The calm person commands respect. The calm person controls outcomes. And the emotional person just reacts. Stop reacting. Start controlling. This is the foundation of becoming untouchable. But here's the truth. Your emotions aren't just random. They're being triggered on purpose. By people. By systems. By situations. And once you understand how they're being used against you, you'll never let it happen again. You've learned how to stop reacting. Now it's time to see who's pulling the strings. Chapter 2. Your emotions are being used against you. Let's be clear about something. Your emotions are not just happening. They are being triggered. On purpose. Every day. By people. By media. By situations. By systems. Because emotional people are easy to control. Calm people are not. If someone can trigger you, they can control you. Say it again. If someone can trigger you, they can control you. This is the invisible game being played all around you. And most people don't even realize they're in it. Think about arguments. Why do people insult instead of discussing? Because insults trigger emotion. And emotion shuts down logic. The moment you get angry, you stop thinking clearly. That's the key. Emotion hijacks intelligence. That's why manipulators always aim for your feelings. They don't want you calm. They want you reactive. Because a reactive person is predictable. A reactive person is weak. A reactive person is easy to push. Look at social media. Outrage headlines. Shocking posts. Angry comments. Why? Because anger spreads faster than truth. Fear spreads faster than logic. Emotion spreads faster than calm. They don't want you informed. They want you emotional. Because emotional people click more, share more, argue more, and think less. It's not an accident. It's a system. And it works. Now think about toxic relationships. Notice how certain people always push your buttons. They bring up sensitive topics. They accuse. They guilt trip. They provoke. Why? Because once you're emotional, you're easier to control. You start explaining, defending, apologizing, overreacting, and they get power. That's the key. Emotion gives leverage. Calm removes it. Silence starves manipulation. Say it again. Silence starves manipulation. When someone tries to provoke you and you stay calm, they lose control. When someone tries to guilt you and you don't react emotionally, they lose leverage. When someone tries to anger you and you remain steady, they lose the game. This is why emotional restraint is dangerous to manipulators. They can't push you. They can't pull you. They can't use you. Because you're in control. But here's the hard truth. Most people are addicted to reacting. They think reacting makes them strong. They think anger is power. They think emotional expression is confidence. But it's not. It's exposure. It's weakness. It's giving others the map to control you. Every time you lose your temper, you teach people how to manipulate you. Every time you overreact, you show your triggers. Every time you get emotional, you reveal your weak spots. Your triggers reveal your chains. Say it again. Your triggers reveal your chains. If disrespect makes you explode, that's a chain. If criticism breaks you, that's a chain. If rejection destroys your mood, that's a chain. And chains are meant to be pulled. By bosses, by partners, by strangers, by life, until you break them. And you break them through awareness and discipline. You have a choice. That's the key. The next time someone tries to trigger you, notice it. Notice the pattern. Are they raising their voice? Blaming? Mocking? Rushing you to respond? That's not communication. That's manipulation. And the moment you recognize it, you regain power. Instead of reacting emotionally, you slow down. You breathe. You answer calmly. Or you don't answer at all. And watch what happens. Most manipulators get frustrated when you don't react. They escalate. They try harder. Because their usual tools aren't working. That's how you know you're winning. Calm exposes manipulation. Emotion feeds it. That's the key. Let me give you a real-world example. Someone sends you an angry message, accusing you of something, blaming you, trying to start a fight. Your old self would immediately reply emotionally. Long message, defensive tone, anger mixed with explanations, and the drama would grow. But the controlled version of you does something different. You pause, you breathe, you respond calmly, or simply say, I understand your point. That's it. No emotion, no fight, no fuel. And suddenly, the argument dies. Because arguments need two emotional people. One calm person ends it. Say it again. One calm person ends it. This is power. This is emotional restraint in action. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It means you don't let emotions control your actions. You set boundaries calmly. You walk away calmly. You speak firmly without anger. That's strength. It's not about being soft. It's about being disciplined. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Here's another truth. People who constantly try to provoke you are usually struggling internally. They need reactions to feel powerful. They need drama to feel alive. They need control to feel secure. When you don't react, you deny them that. And they either change or disappear. Both outcomes are good. So your job isn't to win arguments. Your job is to stay in control. Your job is to protect your peace. Your job is to choose calm. You have a choice. That's the key. From now on, treat emotions like information, not commands. Anger tells you something feels wrong. Fear tells you something feels risky. But they don't get to decide your actions. You decide. You feel the emotion. You acknowledge it. Then you choose the response. That's mastery. That's becoming untouchable. Because once you stop being emotionally controllable, people lose their power over you. Life gets quieter. Drama fades. clarity grows, confidence rises, and you start moving differently, speaking differently, living differently. Remember this. Manipulation feeds on emotion. Calm starves it. Your triggers are the doors people use to enter your mind. Close them. With awareness. With pauses. With discipline. You have a choice. That's the key. You've now learned how reactions give away power, and how emotions are often used against you. But there's another level. When you master restraint, calm itself becomes a weapon of clarity, a weapon of authority, a weapon of dominance. You've stopped reacting. You've exposed manipulation. Now it's time to learn how to use calm as your greatest strength. Chapter 3. Calm is a weapon. Most people think calm is passive. They think calm means weak. They think calm means you don't care. That's wrong. Calm is not softness. Calm is control. And control is power. Say it again. Calm is control. Control is power. The calm person always has the advantage. In arguments. In negotiations. In pressure. In crisis. Not the loud one. Not the emotional one. The calm one. Because when you're calm, your mind is clear. When you're emotional, your mind is cloudy. Emotion blurs. Calm clarifies. Say it again. Emotion blurs. Calm clarifies. Look at any high-level leader. Military commanders. Surgeons. CEOs. Crisis responders. They don't panic. They don't yell. They don't lose control. They slow down. They breathe. They think. Because under pressure, calm people make good decisions. Emotional people make mistakes. That's the difference. Pressure doesn't break strong people. Pressure reveals mastery. Say it again. Pressure reveals mastery. When stress hits, your true level of control shows. Some people collapse. Some people complain. Some people explode. And some people stay steady. Those steady ones rise. They get trusted. They get followed. They get promoted. They get opportunities. Because calm under pressure signals leadership. Your nervous system sets the tone. If you panic, everyone panics. If you're calm, everyone calms down. That's power. Now here's something important. Calm is not something you're born with. It's trained. Just like muscles. Just like discipline. Just like focus. You build calm through repetition. Through awareness. Through practice. And it starts with the body. Because the body leads the mind. Control the body. Control the mind. Say it again. Control the body. Control the mind. When something stressful happens, your body reacts first. Heart speeds up. Breathing gets shallow. Muscles tighten. This tells your brain there's danger. And your brain floods you with emotion. But you can interrupt this cycle. How? With your breath. Slow breathing signals safety. Long exhale. Slow inhale. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Twice as long on the exhale. Do this for 30 seconds. And your nervous system calms down. That's science. But more importantly, that's control. You don't wait to feel calm. You breathe yourself calm. You have a choice. That's the key. Next is posture. When you slump, your brain reads weakness. When you stand tall, chest up, shoulders back, your brain reads confidence. Your mood follows your body, not the other way around. Strong posture creates strong emotions. Weak posture creates weak emotions. That's the key. Then comes your voice. When you speak fast and loud, you feed emotion. When you speak slow and steady, you project control. Slow speech forces calm. It forces others to listen. It shows confidence. This is why powerful speakers pause. Silence commands attention. Rushing reveals nervousness. So when pressure hits, slow down your breath. Straighten your posture. Slow your voice. And instantly, you're calmer. That's using calm as a weapon. Now let's talk real life. Imagine someone is yelling at you, accusing you, trying to provoke you. Most people mirror the emotion. They yell back. They defend. They escalate. And the situation explodes. But the untouchable person does something different. They stay calm. They listen. They breathe. They respond slowly. And suddenly, the power shifts. The emotional person looks out of control. The calm person looks strong. And people naturally side with the calm one. Always. Calm wins. Every time. That's the key. Another example. You're under pressure at work. Deadline approaching. Boss watching. Problems stacking up. Most people panic. Rush. Make mistakes. The calm person pauses. Prioritizes. Handles one thing at a time. And finishes strong. Same pressure. Different response. Different result. This is why calm is a weapon. It gives you clarity. It gives you control. It gives you an edge. Now here's a powerful truth. People fear calm, not loudness. When someone stays calm in chaos, others feel it. It's unsettling. It commands respect. It signals confidence. Because deep down, everyone knows. Losing control is weakness. And staying in control is strength. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need to match their energy. You have a choice. That's the key. Stop absorbing other people's emotions. Stop letting chaos enter your mind. You choose your state. You choose calm. Here's a daily exercise. Every time something stressful happens today, do this. Pause. Take one slow breath. Relax your shoulders. And respond slowly. That's it. Simple, but powerful. Do this repeatedly. And calm becomes automatic. Your new default. Your new strength. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Over time, things that used to shake you won't even move you. Arguments will feel small. Stress will feel manageable. Pressure will feel normal. That's when you know you're becoming untouchable. And something else happens. People start treating you differently. They respect you more. They listen more. They test you less. Because calm people set the tone. They don't follow chaos. They lead peace. Remember this. You don't rise to the level of emotion. You fall to the level of training. Train calm. Daily. With breath. With posture. With awareness. With discipline. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. You now understand that calm is not weakness. It is your greatest weapon. It gives you clarity in chaos, power in pressure, strength in storms. But there's another skill that multiplies this power. A skill almost no one uses correctly. Silence. When to speak. When not to speak. And how silence can control any situation. You've mastered calm. Now it's time to master silence. Chapter 4. Silence is strength. Most people talk too much. They explain too much. Defend too much. Reveal too much. And every extra word weakens their position. Silence is not awkward. Silence is powerful. Say it again. Silence is powerful. Weak people rush to fill silence. Strong people are comfortable inside it. Because silence creates control. When you speak less, you listen more. When you listen more, you understand more. And when you understand more, you move smarter. That's the key. Most arguments don't start because of facts. They start because of emotion. And the fastest way to kill an argument is silence. When someone attacks you verbally, they expect reaction. They expect defense. They expect emotion. But when you stay quiet, they lose momentum. They feel uncomfortable. They start revealing more. They often expose themselves. Silence makes people talk. Emotion makes people fight. Say it again. Silence makes people talk. Emotion makes people fight. Watch any interrogation. The professional stays quiet. The suspect talks. Why? Because silence creates pressure. People feel the need to fill it. And in doing so, they reveal information. This works in everyday life too. At work, in relationships, in conflicts, when someone complains or criticizes, most people rush to explain themselves. Long stories, excuses, defenses. But the calm, powerful person listens, pauses, maybe nods, maybe says one short sentence. And that's it. That shows confidence. It shows control. It shows you don't feel threatened. Over-explaining signals insecurity. Silence signals strength. That's the key. Here's another truth. The more you talk emotionally, the more you give away. Your plans, your fears, your weaknesses, your triggers. And remember, your triggers reveal your chains. So when you talk too much, you hand people the tools to control you. But when you stay quiet, you protect your power. You don't need their permission to be silent. You don't owe anyone emotional explanations. You have a choice. That's the key. Now let's be clear. Silence doesn't mean you never speak. It means you speak with purpose. Slow, direct, minimal. Every word should add value. Not emotion, not drama, not defense. Value. Say it again. Speak with purpose. Here's a powerful rule. Never speak when emotional. Wait until calm returns. Then decide what's worth saying. Most things aren't. Think about how many problems started because of emotional words. Texts sent in anger. Comments made in frustration. Things said you can't take back. Silence would have saved those situations. Silence is protection. That's the key. Now imagine this scenario. Someone insults you in public. Most people react immediately. Anger, comebacks, embarrassment, and suddenly a scene forms. But the strong person stays calm, looks at them, says nothing, maybe smiles slightly, and walks away. What happens? The insulter looks foolish. The calm person looks confident. And everyone watching knows who won. Always. Silence wins. Now imagine a disagreement with your partner. They're emotional, raising their voice, accusing. If you respond emotionally, it becomes a fight. If you stay silent and calm, the emotion dies down. Eventually, because fire needs fuel, and silence removes fuel. That's the key. One calm, silent person can neutralize chaos. Every time. But here's what most people fear. They think silence means losing. They think if they don't defend themselves, they're weak. But the truth is the opposite. Needing to defend everything shows insecurity. Confidence doesn't need constant explanation. Strong people let their actions speak. They don't argue their worth. They live it. Say it again. Strong people don't argue their worth. Now here's a practical habit. Before you speak, ask, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said right now? If the answer isn't yes to all three, stay silent. This alone will change your life. Less drama, more respect, more control. Another habit. Slow your responses. Don't reply instantly to messages. Don't jump into conversations emotionally. Take time. This signals calm and confidence. Rushing signals anxiety. Remember, fast reactions are emotional. Slow responses are controlled. Say it again. Slow responses are controlled. Silence also gives you time to think, time to observe, time to choose wisely. And wise choices build strong lives. Now here's the deeper level. Silence isn't just about not speaking. It's about emotional restraint. Not reacting with facial expressions. Not sighing. Not rolling eyes. Not showing irritation. True silence is internal calm. Because people read energy. Not just words. You can be silent and still emotional. The goal is calm silence. Controlled silence. That's strength. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Soon you won't feel the urge to defend, to argue, to explain. You'll feel peace instead. That's becoming untouchable. Because when nothing provokes you, no one controls you. Remember this. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. The calmest person usually holds the power. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. Strong presence. Disciplined presence. You have a choice. That's the key. Choose silence over emotional reactions. Choose calm over chaos. Choose discipline over impulse. You've now learned how calm gives you control, and how silence multiplies that control. But there's another trap that destroys emotional strength. Attachment. Needing outcomes. Needing approval. Needing things to go a certain way. That emotional attachment creates suffering. And once you learn to detach, you become even more powerful. You've mastered calm. You've mastered silence. Now let's master detachment. Chapter 5. Detach from outcomes. Most people suffer not because of what happens. They suffer because of what they expect. They attach emotionally to results, to people, to situations, to outcomes. And attachment creates pain. Say it again. Attachment creates pain. When you need something to go a certain way, you give it power over you. When you need approval, you give people power over you. When you need success immediately, you create stress. Detachment is not giving up. Detachment is staying in control. It means you do your best, but you don't emotionally cling to results. That's the key. Think about how many times you've been anxious waiting for something. A message, a job offer, a response, a result. That anxiety isn't from the situation. It's from attachment. You're emotionally tied to the outcome. And when you're attached, you lose calm. You lose clarity. You lose control. But when you detach, you stay steady. You stay focused. You stay strong. Careless. Perform better. Say it again. Careless. Perform better. Look at athletes. The ones who choke under pressure are overly attached to winning. They think about the result. They fear failure. Their emotions rise. Their performance drops. The champions focus on execution, breathing, movement, discipline, and the results follow. Same in life. When you obsess over outcomes, you create pressure. When you focus on actions, you create progress. Do the work. Release the outcome. That's the key. Most people confuse detachment with not caring. That's wrong. You still care. You just don't emotionally cling. You do your best every day, but you accept whatever happens calmly. This creates peace and power. Now think about relationships. How many fights come from expectations? You expect someone to act a certain way, to respond faster, to understand you, to change. When they don't, you get emotional, angry, disappointed, hurt. That's attachment. The more you expect, the more you suffer. Detached people don't control others. They control themselves. They communicate calmly. They set boundaries. And if someone doesn't meet standards, they adjust without drama. That's strength. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need to beg outcomes. You have a choice. That's the key. Another example. Job interviews. Most people walk in desperate, needing the job, needing approval, needing success. And that desperation shows. Voice shaky, body tense, mind racing. The detached person walks in prepared, but calm. They do their best, but they're okay either way. And that calm confidence makes them more attractive to employers. Because they're not needy, they're in control. Detachment attracts. Neediness repels. That's the key. Now here's a daily practice. Before any important situation, tell yourself, I will do my best, but I release the outcome. Say it again. I will do my best, but I release the outcome. This shifts your focus from results to actions, from fear to execution, from stress to calm, and calm always performs better. Now here's something powerful. When you detach emotionally, you actually get better results. Because you think clearly, you act confidently, you adapt quickly. Emotion clouds judgment. Calm sharpens it. Emotion blurs. Calm clarifies. You've heard that before, and it applies here too. Attachment is emotional. Detachment is disciplined. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Detachment doesn't mean you become cold. It means you become stable. You don't ride emotional highs and lows. You stay steady. And steady people win in the long run. They don't burn out. They don't panic. They don't make emotional decisions. They stay consistent. And consistency builds success. Here's another truth. Most mistakes happen when emotions are high. Texting someone you shouldn't. Quitting in frustration. Saying something you regret. Making impulsive purchases. Attachment fuels emotion. Detachment creates pause. Pause creates smart choices. You have a choice. That's the key. Now let's talk about failure. Detached people see failure as feedback. Attached people see failure as personal. And that emotional pain slows them down. But when you detach, failure becomes information. What worked? What didn't? What can I improve? No drama. Just progress. That's mastery. Over time, detachment builds emotional strength. You don't swing wildly between hope and disappointment. You stay centered, calm, focused. And people feel that energy. They trust you more, respect you more, follow you more, because you're steady, not reactive. Remember this. You control effort. You don't control outcomes. So put your energy where your power is. On actions, on discipline, on consistency, and let results come naturally. That's becoming untouchable. Attachment creates suffering. Detachment creates freedom. Say it again. Detachment creates freedom. You now know how to stay calm, how to use silence, how to release emotional attachment. But there's still one thing that keeps pulling you back into emotion. Triggers. Those instant emotional reactions that seem automatic. The good news. They can be mastered. And once you master them, nothing controls you anymore. You've learned calm. You've learned silence. You've learned detachment. Now it's time to master your triggers. Chapter 6. Master your triggers. Everyone has triggers. Words, situations, behaviors, things that instantly spark emotion. Anger, fear, hurt, anxiety. Triggers feel automatic, like they control you, but they don't. They are learned responses, and anything learned can be unlearned. That's the key. Your triggers are your teachers. Say it again. Your triggers are your teachers. Every time something triggers you, it's showing you where you still lack control, not where someone else is wrong, where you need discipline. That shift changes everything. Most people blame the world for their reactions. He made me angry. She upset me. That situation stressed me out. But the truth is, nothing makes you feel anything. The trigger only activates what's inside you. You have a choice. That's the key. Now think about common triggers. Disrespect, criticism, being ignored, rejection, failure, pressure. These hit most people hard, and the reaction comes fast. Anger, defensiveness, sadness, panic. But instead of fighting the trigger, you observe it. You don't feed it. You don't become it. You feel it without becoming it. Say it again. Feel it without becoming it. This is emotional surfing. You notice the emotion rise. Like a wave. You breathe. You stay calm. And you watch it peak and fall. Because emotions are temporary. Always. They only last if you keep feeding them with thoughts and reactions. When you stop feeding them, they pass. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Let's walk through a real example. Someone criticizes you harshly. Instantly, you feel heat rise in your chest. Your mind wants to defend, to argue, to react. That's the trigger. Instead of reacting, you pause. You breathe slowly. You notice the emotion. I'm feeling anger. That's it. No judgment, just awareness. Then you let it be there without acting. After about 30 to 60 seconds, the intensity drops. Always. And now you can respond calmly, or not respond at all. That's mastery. That's control. The trigger loses power every time you do this, because you're retraining your nervous system, teaching it that there's no danger, no need to explode, no need to panic, just calm. Over time, what once triggered huge emotion barely affects you. That's becoming untouchable. Now here's another important truth. Most triggers come from ego. The need to be right, the need to be respected, the need to be approved. When those feel threatened, emotion spikes. But when you detach from ego, triggers lose strength. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need their permission. Say it again. You don't need their permission. Confidence doesn't react. Insecurity does. The calmer you become, the less you need to defend, the less you need to explain, the less you need to fight. Because you're secure internally. That's the key. Another trigger is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of losing. When fear hits, most people freeze or panic. But fear is just information. It's your body preparing for challenge. You can use it. Instead of letting fear control you, breathe into it. Slow breath. Relax shoulders. Tell yourself, I can handle this. That simple phrase shifts your nervous system. From panic to control. You have a choice. That's the key. Now let's talk about progress. You won't master triggers overnight. At first, you might still react. But maybe the reaction is smaller, shorter, less intense. That's progress. Celebrate that. Then keep practicing. Soon the gap between trigger and reaction grows. Then reactions disappear completely, and calm becomes automatic. Remember, control is built daily, not instantly. Each trigger is a training opportunity, not a failure. Your triggers are your teachers. Say it again. Your triggers are your teachers. Now here's a powerful exercise. At the end of each day, reflect. Ask yourself, what triggered me today? How did I respond? What could I do better next time? This builds awareness. Awareness builds control. Control builds mastery. That's the path. Another tool is visualization. Imagine situations that usually trigger you. Picture yourself staying calm, breathing slowly, responding with control. Your brain learns through imagination too. So when the real moment comes, calm feels familiar. That's training. Now here's something important. Some people will intentionally try to trigger you, especially when they see you changing. When you stop reacting emotionally, some will push harder, because they're losing control over you. Don't fall for it. Stay calm. Stay disciplined. Stay untouchable. Silence starves manipulation. Calm defeats provocation. You're not here to win emotional battles. You're here to master yourself. That's the real victory. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. The more you master your triggers, the freer you become. Less stress, less drama, less regret, more peace, more clarity, more confidence. And life feels lighter, because nothing shakes you anymore. You now control reactions, not the other way around. You've learned how to stop reacting, how to recognize manipulation, how to use calm, how to use silence, how to detach from outcomes, and now how to master triggers. But there's one massive trap that still pulls people back into emotional weakness: the need for validation, approval, praise, attention. Once you remove that need, your emotional strength multiplies. You're no longer controlled by opinions, or reactions, or judgment. You become truly free. You've mastered triggers. Now let's talk about the silent addiction holding most people back. Chapter 7. Stop needing validation. Most people don't live for themselves. They live for approval, likes, praise, compliments, recognition. They adjust their behavior to be accepted. They silence themselves to avoid rejection. They chase attention to feel worthy, and that need controls them. Approval is a leash. Say it again. Approval is a leash. The moment you need someone's validation, you give them power over your emotions. If they praise you, you feel high. If they criticize you, you feel low. If they ignore you, you feel insecure. Your mood becomes dependent on others. That's emotional slavery. Strong people validate themselves. Weak people need validation. That's the key. Think about social media. People post not because they enjoy it, but to be seen, to be liked, to be approved. And when the response isn't what they hoped, they feel disappointed, anxious, unworthy. That's attachment to validation. And it's exhausting. Now think about real life. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? Because you didn't want to disappoint someone. How many times have you stayed quiet? Because you feared judgment. How many times have you changed yourself to fit in? That's validation control. And it slowly destroys confidence. Because you stop living by your standards and start living by others. You don't need their permission. Say it again. You don't need their permission. Confidence doesn't come from being liked. It comes from self-respect. From doing what's right for you. From standing by your values. Even when others disagree. That's real strength. Now here's something important. Needing validation is normal. But staying controlled by it is a choice. You have a choice. That's the key. You can notice the urge for approval. And not follow it. Just like a trigger. Just like an emotion. You observe it. You breathe. And you choose discipline instead. That's mastery. Now let's talk about criticism. When you rely on validation, criticism feels like an attack. It hurts deeply. It shakes you. But when you validate yourself, criticism becomes information. You take what's useful. You ignore the rest. No emotion. No drama. Just growth. That's the key. Here's a powerful mindset shift. Not everyone has to like you. Say it again. Not everyone has to like you. And that's okay. Trying to be liked by everyone makes you weak. Trying to be respected by yourself makes you strong. Respect comes from boundaries, from consistency, from calm confidence, not from pleasing people. Now here's a daily practice. Every time you catch yourself seeking approval, pause. Ask, why do I need this person's validation? Most of the time, you don't. You just feel the habit. Then remind yourself, I approve of myself. Say it again, I approve of myself. This builds internal confidence. Slowly, powerfully, over time, you stop needing outside approval. And when you don't need it, people often give it naturally. Because confidence attracts. Neediness repels. That's the key. Now think about how many emotional reactions come from validation issues. Getting angry when disrespected. Feeling hurt when ignored. Feeling anxious when judged. All of that is ego needing approval. But when you detach from validation, those reactions fade. You don't take things personally. You stay calm. You stay in control. You become untouchable. Here's another truth. People who constantly seek approval are easily manipulated. Compliment them. They comply. Criticize them. They crumble. But when you don't rely on validation, manipulation fails. Because praise doesn't control you. And criticism doesn't break you. You stay steady. That's power. You have a choice. That's the key. Now let's talk about self-respect. Self-respect means keeping promises to yourself. Setting boundaries. Saying no when needed. Doing hard things even when uncomfortable. And every time you do that, your confidence grows. Because you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. That's real validation. Internal validation. And it's unbreakable. External validation fades. Internal validation lasts. Say it again. Internal validation lasts. Now here's something powerful. When you stop chasing approval, you gain freedom. Freedom to speak honestly. Freedom to live authentically. Freedom to make bold choices. And that freedom brings peace. Because you're no longer controlled by opinions. Remember, other people's opinions are reflections of them, not definitions of you. Say it again. Opinions are reflections, not definitions. The calmer and more confident you become, the less you care about judgment. And the less you care, the more powerful you feel. Because nothing outside you controls you anymore. You've now removed the need for validation. You've strengthened emotional independence. But there's still one place where most emotional chaos begins. Inside your own mind. The inner dialogue. The stories you tell yourself. The thoughts that fuel emotion. Once you control that, your emotional mastery reaches another level. You've mastered triggers. You've removed the need for validation. Now let's take control of the mind itself. Chapter 8. Control the inner dialogue. Everything starts in your mind. Every emotion, every reaction, every action. Before you get angry, you think a thought. Before you feel anxious, you think a thought. Before you lose control, you think a thought. Your mind sets the temperature. Say it again. Your mind sets the temperature. If your thoughts are chaotic, your emotions will be chaotic. If your thoughts are calm, your emotions will follow. That's the key. Most people believe emotions just happen, but they don't. They're created by interpretation, by the story you tell yourself. Someone looks at you a certain way. Your mind says, they disrespected me. Anger rises. Someone doesn't reply quickly. Your mind says, they don't care. Anxiety rises. You make a mistake. Your mind says, I'm a failure. Shame rises. Same events, different stories, different emotions. Emotion follows thought. Always. Say it again. Emotion follows thought. So if you want emotional control, you must control your thoughts. Not suppress, not ignore. Question them, challenge them, replace them. That's discipline. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Here's a powerful truth. Your mind lies to you all the time. It exaggerates. It assumes. It predicts worst-case scenarios. And most of what it tells you isn't real. But if you believe every thought, your emotions will be controlled by lies. So the key is this. Question every emotional story. Say it again. Question every emotional story. When a thought triggers emotion, ask, is this fact or assumption? Do I know this for sure? What's another possible explanation? This breaks emotional spirals instantly. Example. Someone cancels plans. Your mind says, they don't respect me. Emotion rises. But maybe they're tired. Maybe something came up. Maybe it's not about you at all. When you question the thought, emotion softens. That's control. Another example. You fail at something. Your mind says, I always mess up. That's not true. That's exaggeration. You can replace it with, I made a mistake and I can improve. Emotion changes. From shame to motivation. That's mastery. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't have to believe every thought. You can choose better ones. Now here's a simple tool. When emotion spikes, pause. Name the thought causing it. Then replace it with a calmer, logical version. Angry thought. They're disrespecting me on purpose. Calm thought. I don't know their intention. Fear thought. This will go badly. Calm thought. I'll handle whatever happens. Anxiety thought. I can't deal with this. Calm thought. I've handled harder things before. This shifts your emotional state quickly, because thoughts drive feelings. Remember, emotion blurs, calm clarifies, and calm comes from disciplined thinking. Another powerful habit is self-talk. What you say to yourself matters. Weak self-talk creates weak emotions. Strong self-talk creates strong emotions. Instead of, "This is too much," say, "I can handle this." Instead of, "I'm nervous," say, "I'm prepared." Instead of, "I'm angry," say, "I'm staying calm." Your brain listens and follows. That's the key. Now here's something important. Controlling thoughts doesn't mean forcing positivity. It means choosing reality, choosing logic over emotion, choosing calm over chaos. It means not letting the mind run wild. You become the leader of your thoughts, not their prisoner. You have a choice. That's the key. Let's talk about overthinking. Overthinking is emotional fuel. It replays situations, imagines problems, creates stress where none exists. The solution is attention. Bring your focus back to the present. Your breath, your body, your surroundings. This interrupts thought loops, and calm returns. Shorter storms, stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms, stronger control. Another powerful practice is journaling. Write down emotional thoughts, then challenge them. Most of the time you'll realize they're exaggerated or false. Seeing them on paper breaks their power. Now here's the long-term effect. The more you discipline your thoughts, the calmer your default state becomes. You stop spiraling. You stop reacting emotionally. You start responding logically. And life becomes lighter, clearer, easier to manage. Because you're no longer fighting your own mind. You're guiding it. That's emotional mastery. Remember, your mind is a tool, not a ruler. You use it. It doesn't use you. Say it again. You use your mind. Your mind doesn't use you. You've now learned how to control reactions. Recognize manipulation. Use calm. Use silence. Detach from outcomes. Master triggers. Remove the need for validation. And control the inner dialogue. You're becoming emotionally untouchable. But there's one more stage. Handling intense pressure. When stakes are high. When stress is heavy. When everything feels intense. This is where true mastery shows. You've trained calm. Now let's apply it in the hardest moments. Chapter 9. Become unshakable under pressure. Pressure is part of life. Deadlines, decisions, conflict, risk. You cannot avoid pressure, but you can master it. And the people who master pressure, master life. Pressure reveals mastery. Say it again. Pressure reveals mastery. When things are easy, anyone can stay calm. But when stress rises, when stakes are high, when everything feels intense, that's when true control shows. Some people panic. Some people rush. Some people collapse. And some people stay steady. Those steady ones rise. They get trusted. They get opportunities. They lead. Because calm under pressure is rare. And rare is valuable. Now here's the truth. Pressure doesn't create weakness. It exposes what's already there. If you've trained emotional control, pressure will bring out strength. If you haven't, pressure will bring out chaos. That's the key. This is why daily discipline matters. You don't rise in tough moments. You fall to your level of training. Say it again. You don't rise to pressure. You fall to training. That's why we practiced calm, silence, detachment, trigger control, thought discipline. All of it was preparation. Now let's apply it. First, understand this. Your body reacts to pressure before your mind. Heart speeds up. Breathing shortens. Muscles tense. That's natural. But you don't let it control you. You take control. With breath. Slow inhale. Long exhale. Again and again. This resets your nervous system. This turns panic into focus. Control the body. Control the mind. Say it again. Control the body. Control the mind. Next is focus. Under pressure, most people think about outcomes. What if I fail? What if this goes wrong? What will people think? That creates emotion, and emotion clouds thinking. Instead, focus on the next small action. One step, one task, one move. That keeps you grounded, calm, effective. Do the work. Release the outcome. That's the key. Now think about athletes in clutch moments. They don't think about winning. They think about form, breathing, execution. And because of that, they perform better. Same with you. Pressure moments are not for emotion. They are for discipline. Now here's another powerful tool. Visualization. Before stressful situations, imagine yourself staying calm, breathing slowly, moving confidently, handling problems smoothly. Your brain learns this pattern. So when real pressure comes, calm feels natural. That's training. Now let's talk about fear. Fear often appears under pressure. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of loss. But fear is just energy. Your body preparing to perform. You can use it. Instead of resisting fear, breathe into it. Tell yourself, this is energy I can use. This turns fear into focus, anxiety into alertness. That's mastery. You have a choice. That's the key. Now let's go real world. Public speaking. Most people panic. Heart racing, hands shaking, mind blank. But the calm person breathes slowly, focuses on the message, moves steadily, and suddenly, they appear confident. Not because fear disappeared, but because they controlled it. Same with job interviews. Same with exams. Same with confrontations. Same with emergencies. Calm always performs better. Always. Now here's something important. Pressure will test your habits. If you've been practicing calm daily, you'll handle it. If you haven't, you'll revert to old reactions. So treat small stress like training. Traffic, minor problems, delays. Use them to practice breathing, staying calm, choosing control. Because small moments prepare you for big ones. That's the key. Now here's another truth. Unshakable people don't rush. Rushing is emotional. Slowing down is controlled. When pressure hits, slow your movements, slow your voice, slow your thoughts. This creates clarity, and clarity leads to good decisions. Remember, fast is emotional, slow is controlled. Say it again. Slow is controlled. Now think about leaders in crisis. They speak slowly, move deliberately, stay calm, and others follow. Because calm creates trust. Emotion creates doubt. If you want people to trust you, stay calm under pressure. If you want success, stay calm under pressure. If you want control, stay calm under pressure. That's the key. Over time, handling pressure becomes easier. You don't spike emotionally as high. You recover faster. You stay clear longer. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Eventually, things that once overwhelmed you feel manageable. And that's when you realize you're becoming untouchable. Nothing shakes you. Nothing breaks you. Nothing controls you. You stay steady in all situations. That's emotional mastery. You've learned how to handle pressure. But there's one final step. The mindset that ties everything together. The daily identity of an untouchable person. The way you live. The way you think. The way you move through the world. This is where emotional restraint becomes a lifestyle. You've built the skills. Now let's lock in the mindset. Chapter 10. The Untouchable Mindset. Becoming untouchable is not a moment. It's an identity. It's not something you turn on once in a while. It's how you live, how you think, how you respond, how you move through the world. Emotional restraint is a daily practice. Control is built daily. Say it again. Control is built daily. Untouchable people don't wait for situations to test them. They train every day. In small moments. In traffic. In conversations. In stress. They practice calm. They practice silence. They practice discipline. So when big moments arrive, they're ready. That's the key. The untouchable mindset is simple. You don't let emotions make decisions. You don't let people control your state. You don't let situations shake you. You choose control. Always. You have a choice. That's the key. Untouchable people understand something deeply. Nothing outside them has power. Only their reactions do. So they guard reactions like gold. They pause. They breathe. They think. They respond. Never impulsively. Never emotionally. Always deliberately. That's mastery. They don't argue to be right. They don't explain to be accepted. They don't react to be heard. They act with purpose. They speak with intention. They move with calm. Because calm is power. Silence is strength. Discipline is freedom. Say it again. Discipline is freedom. Now let's talk daily habits. First habit. Start every day grounded. Before checking your phone. Before jumping into chaos. Take 1 minute. Slow breath. Long exhale. Remind yourself. I choose calm today. This sets your nervous system. And your mindset. Second habit. Pause before reacting. Every single time. No exceptions. That pause is where control lives. That pause is where you become untouchable. Third habit. Speak less. Listen more. Only say what adds value. Not emotion. Fourth habit. Detach from outcomes. Do your best. Release the rest. Fifth habit. Observe triggers. Use them as training. Sixth habit. Validate yourself. Not others. Seventh habit. Discipline your thoughts. Choose logic over emotional stories. These habits create a new you. A calm you. A strong you. An untouchable you. Now here's something important. Some people won't like your change. When you stop reacting, they lose control. When you stop seeking validation, they lose leverage. When you become calm, you stop feeding drama. And some people live off drama. They may push harder, provoke more, test you. Stay disciplined. Stay calm. Stay silent. Eventually, they adapt. Or disappear. Both are wins. Untouchable people don't chase. They attract. They don't argue. They act. They don't react emotionally. They respond intelligently. That's the mindset. Now let's talk about confidence. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need loudness. It's calm, stable, steady, and people feel it. When you walk into a room calm, others sense it. When you speak slowly, people listen. When you don't react, people respect you. Because control commands respect. Always. Remember, the calmest person holds the power. Say it again. The calmest person holds the power. Now let's be real. You won't be perfect. You'll slip sometimes. You'll react occasionally. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Say it again. Shorter storms. Stronger control. Each day you improve. Each week you stabilize. Each month you grow stronger. Until emotional restraint becomes automatic. Your new default. Your new identity. That's when life changes. Less stress. Less drama. Less regret. More clarity. More respect. More peace. Because nothing controls you anymore. You control yourself. And self-control is the highest form of power. Say it again. Self-control is power. Now let's connect everything. You learned to stop reacting. You learned emotions are used against you. You learned calm is a weapon. You learned silence is strength. You learned to detach from outcomes. You learned to master triggers. You learned to stop needing validation. You learned to control your inner dialogue. You learned to stay calm under pressure. And now you've built the untouchable mindset. This is emotional mastery. This is freedom. This is strength. This is becoming untouchable. From this day forward, you pause before reacting. You breathe before speaking. You choose discipline over impulse. You choose calm over chaos. You choose control over emotion. You have a choice. That's the key. And every time you choose control, you take your power back. Life will still challenge you. People will still test you. Stress will still come. But it won't control you anymore. Because you're different now. Stronger, calmer, untouchable. And when you master yourself, nothing can master you.